So I keep chickening out. I hide behind science all of the time when science is not, the science is going to explain to you truly what's happening. But that is not what is going to help you, because as I'm learning, there are so many other things that are stopping you guys from getting help. When I started this, it was honestly in order to save one person. I've told myself if I can stop one person from committing suicide, then I've done my job. And I know I've done that. We've had guys come in that were suicidal. They may not have even admitted it when they came into the program, but they'd tried everything else and they were like, okay. They were already having like suicidal ideations, or had actually thought about or have tried and were not successful in the past coming into my program. And I know that they're out of that state now. So I've already achieved that. So I don't know why I keep checking out with you guys. I always go back to science. I always do. But yesterday I had a conversation about alcohol, and I dug into the science about how it messes up your testosterone and your dopamine, and you get these cravings, and how it messes up all these hormones for sleep and moods and all of this crap. But at the end of the day, that's not what's going to help you guys. What's going to help is actually diving into the truth of this. So we need to really stop and take a step back as to where you guys are at. And when it comes to alcohol, we need to really look at the culture of alcohol. And we need to stop and think about it. I'm going to ask, how many calls have you guys been to? Because you all, doesn't matter where you're at, dispatch, if you are like fire, EMS, police, you guys have all been on calls where alcohol has been involved. And I'm going to ask you, how many times have you ever thought to yourself, oh, these people drinking has been really good? This drinking has really solved all the problems in the relationship. This drinking is really helping this person have a really good solid sleep. If you see somebody passed out, then when they're waking up, are they feeling like, do you feel like when you wake up after drinking, man, I feel so good, I'm ready to tackle my day, I've had really good energy? Like, none of us are. And I totally chickened out on talking about this yesterday. This is the reality of things. And when I think about it with you guys, so we look at it and we look at your reality. You guys go to the worst of the worst calls. You guys see so many things on the job all of the time that your base of what is I guess where things are really falling off is so different to other people. I mean, 2 weeks ago, my neighbor sent me an article about how down the street from our house, there's been sexual assaults. And I read it and I'm like, well, he's not raping them. It's not like, it sounds like he's kind of just going up and fondling them and running away. And I'm like, well, okay, that's not a sexual assault. That's not sexual abuse, like relative to all the things that I hear on a day. And she's freaked out about this because that is a civilian's like, whoa, that's wrong. And us, we're like, somebody's running by and touching somebody as they keep running. And we think of these things as like our radar gets so skewed as to what's right and what's wrong that I talk to guys who are, their families are about to leave them. But we think about this as relative as to their, what has happened in the calls that they've been on. They have taken children away from parents who were abusive, who were domestic violence is involved, and all of that. And the guilt of that sometimes too weighs on you guys of like, do I deserve my family after I just took this child away from their parents and now they're going to be going into a foster system? There's so much that goes in this. There's so many depths to everything that you guys experience and how much it totally I don't know if I can swear on Facebook, but how it just fucks with your mind. Like, your reality becomes so different. And so then your perception of your rock bottom is different too. So I've been diving deep this last month to figure out how I can help, because I have 4,500 of you guys in this group. And all of you guys come into this group because you relate to the symptoms we talk about: short fuse, not sleeping. And the short fuse is often at home, guys. We get where you're like, my kids are on eggshells around me. They're not, my kids aren't really, I don't have a relationship with them, or I'm so distanced from them. I don't like doing anything anymore. I don't like socializing. I don't even like the job anymore, which is not necessarily because of the job. It's because of where your body is so depleted and so exhausted that you just can't push the way that you know that you were meant to push. Most of you got into this job because you were so athletic and you have these skills. I mean, holy crap, the things that you guys do on every shift for a 12-hour shift, there's no way most civilians could do. You need to have physical and mental strength that is beyond what most people have. But with everything that is thrown out at you guys day in, day out, there's no way that your bodies can stand that. There's no way that your bodies can just keep up without being regenerated, without really looking into your stress system and figuring out how can we support you as a friggin' first responder. You're working 12, 24, 48, 96 hours, some of you guys are, with COVID and being so short-staffed. And there's no way that a body can do that without support. But you guys are sitting there and you're thinking, okay, well, but I have a job. I come home to a family, possibly a family that really does support me. Not all of you have that. And I'm coming home to that. So why should I be asking for more when I'm going to these houses every day where people don't have things, where they don't have the supports that they need, or they're in abusive relationships, or all of these things that are happening, that it becomes skewed as to where we start thinking about what do we deserve and what do we not, and then also our rock bottom. So I've been diving deep as to figuring out why, when you guys are experiencing all these symptoms, and it is affecting your families, and it is affecting your job, and it is affecting the way that you guys are performing, which, how does that work on your pride and your ego? How much shame is involved with how you're not able to perform when you know that you can be, right? And what example are you setting for your kids? Like, there's all of these different things going on, but our reality gets so skewed because of everything you see on a day in, day out, that where that rock bottom is so different. And so what I've been realizing, like, I had a guy come to me recently who I was like, okay, he dive in and he's like, I want to do all the tests. I want to fix this. I want to do everything. And I found out all these other things he'd been doing. Like, he's been to other courses, he's done other training, he's going to a therapist, all of these things. He's in a specialized training unit too, very, very athletic background. And I asked him, I'm like, what is it that got you to come to me? And he says, I've been on your list for over a year. He goes, and every time I was sinking deeper, anytime that anxiety and that depression was pulling me down, I kept thinking to videos, I kept thinking to things. I'm like, what took you a year then? He goes, I had to hit my rock bottom. His rock bottom was full on anxiety, panic attacks. Completely athletic guy on a highly stressful tactical unit. So that's the thing. That was his rock bottom, was everything that he dreamed of was being in this tactical unit, and this anxiety and everything was taking him out to the point where he was not able to even function in there anymore. And he started wondering, is this in my head? Is this PTSD? Is this everything? And so he's gone through the diagnostics of PTSD, and he doesn't have the markers for it. He's also realizing too, he was just going to therapy all the time and was just talking and trying to figure out what was bothering him, because he didn't even know what the trigger was. There wasn't a nightmare or anything haunting him. Now we've dove in, he's done tons of different testing. We have looked at all of his markers and we're like, oh man, estrogen, testosterone are totally low. All of these other markers are low. His gallbladder, his kidneys are being affected. And all of these things are starting to happen. So his body's not absorbing nutrients. He's not able to sleep. His gut's not be able to produce serotonin. Like, all of these things, when we saw the test results, we're like, this is why so many of your symptoms are happening. But why did it take you to get to this point where it's hitting your kidneys and liver? Why is it getting to that point? Oh, Anna's gallbladder. Like, why are we getting to that point, to that low, to that rock bottom? When you are somebody who strives for that peak performance, like you guys all thrive on that rush of going to these calls and getting that rush and getting that hit of cortisol. And we want to continue doing that for you. But in order to do that, you guys have to really take a deep look of your surroundings. So yesterday, yes, it was alcohol. And I want you to note, are you having alcohol on a daily basis? Are you needing it to fall asleep? Are you using it as a crutch right now to do things? And now look at the calls that you've been on. When on any calls have you been on, have you seen that alcohol helped that person in that situation? Why would you be any different? It's just in times like this where we need to think of, okay, you guys are in these calls all the time. You guys are going and seeing the worst of the worst, which totally skews your perception of reality, because you guys are the wolves that are protecting all of these other civilians from really what is going on, and they don't see that. So sometimes we have to take a step back and think, okay, if a civilian was experiencing these things, these panic attacks, these depression, short fuse in their house, needing to rely on alcohol and prescriptions in order to make it through your day, in order to handle things, how much further do you need to go? Where are you going to be in 1 year? Where are you going to be in 5 years? Where's your relationship with your family and your kids going to be? If your kids are seeing what you are going through right now, what are they going to do when they're older? What are they going to think? Oh, this is the normal. This is what my dad did. So this is what I should be doing as a parent as well. This is what I should be doing in relationships. This is what I should be doing in my house. We need to really stop and take a look and sit back and think about these things and really take note of them. Because if you're going to wait till you hit your rock bottom, fuck, that better not be suicide. Because we are here to help you now before you get to that state. And I don't deal with the mental side of things, but you would not believe when your stress system is supported, when we really look at all of your hormones, we look at your gut, we look at all of the blood tests you've done in the past, any colonoscopies, anything, urine tests, any tests that you've done in the last year, we go and take a deep dive and look at these things. We check your metabolic rates. The amount of guys that come to us with testosterone shots, like when your testosterone is low, that's telling us that there's so many other markers we need to be looking at, because there's other things that absolutely affect that. When your sleep is off, we need to look at those things too, because that goes along with testosterone, with your melatonin for not being able to sleep. And all of these things, I mean, sleep deprivation brings on moods, brings on anxiety, brings on depression. So if you're only getting 4 hours sleep, yes, there are 100% things that happen on your job that are the mental aspect, but sleep deprivation absolutely causes a lot of these symptoms too. So really stop, take a look. I'm going to put in the comments the checklist that we put also in when you join this group. And think about it. If you have how many things on that checklist, how bad are those going to need to get before you actually take action? How bad do those things on that checklist need to get until they're like affecting your family life? If you have gut issues, if you have testosterone issues, that affects your romantic relationship with your spouse. It affects your pride. It affects your ego, which also extends into so many other things in your life. So stop and take a second and go through the list that I'm going to post in this group and let me know how many you have from that list. How many do you have? And what's going to happen in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years if you don't get those things under control? Are you going to wait till you're rock bottom? Like, what is your rock bottom? And are you going to wait till you get there? Let me know. We are here to help. And we are definitely here to help you guys. We are all here. Trevor Wilkins just replied on this. If you need any help with the mental side of things, check him out. His YouTube channel is phenomenal. He tells it like it is, former law enforcement officer. He deals with that mental side. I deal with the physical. We all need to work as a team. There is not one fix for you guys. There's a multiple fix. There are multiple facets involved with what is going on with you guys. And we need to truly look at the reality of what is going on. And you need to face it. We know, Trevor knows, I know, we see it all the time. I see it in the things that you guys are telling me before you come in, and I see it in your test results. The functional nutritionist in our program that dives into these test results for you, she looks at them, she goes, holy, before I started this program, I thought that I had worked with major stress systems. She works with Ironman athletes. She works with people that are pushing their bodies day in, day out. But what the things that happen on your shift, the 12 hours, all of these things for fire guys too, the toxins, what those do to your body and how they push that and affect your testosterone and all of these things. There's so much of a correlation. She is in heaven, honestly, going through your test results. She loves it. She thinks that this is like so fascinating that she's able to get such, I'm going to say, messed up test results. She didn't actually know that there were test results as bad as a lot of them that are coming into her program because of how bad your hormones that support your system are depleted and messed up, your nervous systems, your guts. And she loves the challenge of getting you guys back up to where it's supported. So there's so many different ways we need to dive into this. There's so many ways to help. Reach out, support at 911lifestyle.com. It's confidential. We will not tell anybody what you tell us, and we will help you find the best support out there. We help with the physical stress system, but we have a lot of connections, as Trevor down there, honestly, check him out for the mental side of things. Phenomenal. There's so many different routes and ways and things that you guys need help. And I've been diving into all of them because there is not a one size fits all. There's so many facets of your job and they all need to be addressed. So reach out, support 911lifestyle.com, and we are here to help you.